What is going on, everybody? I think this picture right here perfectly, perfectly, excuse me, perfectly encapsulates the mood of how everybody is feeling right now. Tommy Tremble as he walks off the field at Soldier Field. But nevertheless, it is 11:40 here in Charlotte where I am at. I'm Andre Casseday. Carolina falls to 1-8, 16-13 to the Chicago Bears. Chris Jenkins, who is in Soldier Field, will be joining us here rather shortly as we come on here and go live. I want to hear from all of you, everybody out there right now who is tuning in, still up at 11:40. I want to hear from you because I am in a state of shock, and I can't wait to get Chris on here because I want to hear his reaction to what just took place in Chicago because I really don't have any words to describe the complete ineptitude and malpractice that we just witnessed in this game today. I'm not going to be dramatic. I'm not going to be over dramatic. I'm just going to be extremely blunt in my personal view and assessment of this game tonight. But ultimately, that was probably one of the more disappointing games and big letdowns that we have had so far this season. And I believe we have Chris on the line. Let's go ahead and signal him in. That is the man of the people, Chris Jenkins, to my right. Chris, tell me how you
What's
feeling
going
right
on?
now, man, because I am just in a state of shock.
Well, we're doing our job, Andre. We're out here. We're covering this team through thick and thin, and this is obviously going to be the thin part right here where we're not doing too well. And it's deflating. It was just as miserable to watch here live in Chicago as it was there in Charlotte back home. And you won't see it just off to my right is where they had the Thursday night football portable studio on the field set up. And there was a lot of chanting for the Bears as they should be happy that they won. They're now three and something. They got more wins than we do, but not a good game. Oh, and I got to remember to talk softly so my voice doesn't go away. So I'll try to do better.
And hey, may I add too, you look awfully cozy out there. You may not feel that way right now, but you look layered up and ready to go and ready to talk about what just took place outside there behind you on Soldier Field.
Yeah, it's not as cold as I may make it look, but I purposely dressed too warm because I'm going to be standing out here for up to an hour, as you know. So, and in 45 minutes, it may feel a little different. So I want to bundle up and be prepared for it.
Absolutely. And in a situation like that, hey, it's better to be over prepared and expect the unexpected. And I know you definitely were ready for it. But nevertheless, I say let's just get right into it. I mean, there are a lot of people tuning in, and to everybody out there who are just now tuning in, hey, go
There
ahead
you
and
go.
like this video. Go ahead and leave your comments in the comment section because I know a lot of you out there are heated and frustrated
Yeah,
by what they saw.
Andre, a lot of people appreciate the hustle that we have with this independent media thing, which, by the way, as you said, like, share, subscribe to the video, but give a like just for your boy being out here in Chicago, freezing to talk about a team that only has one victory with a voice that keeps going in and out.
And hey, you're toughing it out. I haven't even noticed your voice being intermittent as of yet. So, I mean, you're doing a pretty good job on your end. And like Chris said, Carolina is 1-8 on the year. I mean, that's still, Chris, I can't comprehend that right now. I don't care. I mean, I don't know if it's just because it's late at night or if it's just because I just went through and watched that wonderful game that we just witnessed tonight. But 1-8, that just hits so much more differently. And it just humbles you, man.
I had wanted to look and see, like my mind is telling me this is the worst start that I've been a part of in recent memory. And I wanted to go and look it up, but I was like, I don't even want to verify if this is or if this is not, and what the worst record was, because it's just it's just not fun to watch.
Yeah, it's not fun to watch, and yeah, I just don't even want to try to dig into what I may already know, which we probably are starting off on one of the worst records that we've had in probably 20 years. I don't know if 2010 can compete with this or if it's along those same lines. But yeah, this is a pretty rough start. And yeah, I mean, let's just get right into it. Let's go ahead and start out with some of these numbers here.
Yeah, we
We'll
got a
go
lot of
ahead.
bad numbers. I was going to ask if you're ready to get into it because I know people probably want to go to sleep already.
Yeah, let's get right into it
And
because I want to hear what the people have to say. So the sooner we get into these numbers, the sooner we can go ahead and start venting some frustrations, right?
yeah,
Uh,
so get those comments going. We're going to get to them.
yeah, absolutely. To everybody out there, keep on keeping on. I have Bryce Young's numbers listed on the screen first because I think this will be a hot topic in the comments section. So here we go. Bryce Young, 21 of 38, 185 yards with an
Hey, can I say
average.
something here?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you didn't hook me up. So everybody gets to watch our behind the scenes conversation. I can only see you. I can't see what's going on the screen. So I'm going to switch and manually keep up. But I'll teach you that later on how to control that.
Oh, it's not. Oh, you can't even see what's going on right now?
No, but I know the ways around it. So just know I may be a little slow sometimes, but I'll work through it.
Okay. You got to teach me that because I don't think I know how to do that as of yet.
No worries.
But regardless, with that being said, a 5 yard per throw average is not going to get it done. 3 sacks for Bryce Young today, which honestly, from what we've seen over the past couple of weeks, that's honestly a respectable number to only give up 3 sacks. I mean, that's still pretty bad, but given what we've had to work with in recent weeks, I can respect it. Now, that quarterback rating
Wait,
at 68% or 68.4, that's just horrendous, Chris.
yeah. So him and Tyson just had a stink fest, right? Like they both had pretty similar numbers, pretty similar passer ratings. But here's one thing that happened. Two differences that I want to point out. One is the sack. So you said three is not. It's better than before, but it's still not good enough. Especially when you consider this. We're week. I think this is 9. Are we 9 or 10?
We are in week 10.
Okay,
Week
we're
10.
week 10, and the Bears up until this point had allowed. I'm sorry, had made 10 sacks. 10. And then today we give them 3. We gave them a third of their sack total for the season in one day. And in addition to that, so how many times was Bryce hit? He was hit 9 times. That's a lot. So, there's lots of problems, as we all know if you've been watching this team for 10 weeks, what the problems are. They're not getting better. The offense continues to look offensive, which I think is your word, right? Did you use that last week?
Yeah, the offense is offensively offensive.
Yeah, it's terrible. And the defense is really doing pretty darn good, man. Like to see this defense, and I know we hadn't got to those stats yet, but considering what Ivero has to work with, they're doing darn well.
Yeah, and they held up their end of the bargain, and that's impressive on Iverio's part. I mean, with all the injuries that they've had this season, you can make an all defensive team with the injuries that this team has had up to this point in the year. And let's go ahead and pull up those defensive stats. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it right now. So we have it pulled up on the screen.
Well, no, I
Frankie,
don't want to go to the defensive. Well, go ahead, go ahead. You're the boss. Go ahead.
I thought it was an interesting segue, so we'll change it up a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Do one of each side, right? So let's start out with Frankie Louvu, who had 11 total tackles, leading the team in tackles. He had 6 solo tackles. Derek Brown right behind him with 10. Dante Jackson with 7. Amari Barno, Deion Jones, and Xavier Woods, respectively, with 5 tackles, and DiCaprio Boodle and Von Bell with 4 tackles. And may I say this before I flip it back over to you, Chris? I did notice the pass rush today was non-existent, for lack of a better term. I wouldn't want to say it was there for the taking. I mean, obviously you had some players missing in today's game. Wow, there are like 3 other pictures on here that I am trying to get rid of and try to get it back on pace. So just give me one
It's all right.
second, everybody. Now we
I
are
don't see
back
that
in
you're doing that.
business. Um,
Okay.
but here we go. I mean, and I don't know if this is something that you notice on your end, seeing it live, but yeah, the one disappointing thing that I noticed with our defense was just the lack of a consistent pass rush.
Yeah, he stayed pretty clean, and I know like I mentioned earlier, we got no sacks on the Bears, none at all, and we got 4 hits. Um, one per quarter, if you will, and yeah, but we didn't have him kind of at any points running for his life. So, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm there. I was just messing with something real quick. Sorry about that. But I mean, with the rotation of Marquise Haynes, Amari Barno, DJ Johnson, and the practice squad elevation from Lakoya, yeah, I mean, it kind of was what I expected. Marquise Haynes, for somebody who hasn't played all season, that doesn't really surprise me that he didn't make as much of an impact as many thought he could have. But for
Did
guys
you get
like
a chance to see about how many plays Haynes had?
I don't have that number. I don't have a mental number, but he was probably in there for maybe like 30% of the plays, if I had to
Okay.
guess. But for guys like Amari Barno and DJ Johnson, I know Amari Barno had a couple of tackles. Same thing with DJ Johnson, but I feel like they could have at least did something in the sack total today. I mean, they had their opportunities to try to get after a rookie quarterback, and I think that was a big part of it too. Was trying to get quick pressure on Badgett, which they were able to do in certain parts of the game, but it wasn't consistent enough in my eyes.
Yeah, it wasn't consistent enough, but hey, they overall the defense still did pretty good. They only had what, 1 touchdown? Bears?
Yeah, one
Yeah, they only had
touchdown
one
given
touchdown in
up
the third quarter,
to
and then
400.
three field goals. So they didn't let them do whatever they want. DJ Moore didn't have a great game. He had a solid game. I think DJ Moore for the Bears had 58 yards, as long as 16 yards, 9 targets. So he was targeted a lot. Only got 5 receptions. So all things being considered on how well DJ Moore has been playing, the defense again did very well in containing it. Foreman did a lot better, getting about 80 yards rushing, but they were able to clamp down on the Bears when they needed to, made them kick the field goals. And I know hopefully we're going to go back to these offensive stats now. Just like how many games are you going to win when your offense scores 0 touchdowns? You're not going to win too many. That's what happened tonight. Amir Set, is that how you say his name? Amir? Our punt returner did excellent
Yep.
in getting us that touchdown. And I mean, watching that live was great. He had some great vision, man. He made more people miss. He didn't really break any tackles. He made the first guy miss, did some cuts, and only gave a stiff arm to the kicker. Was really the only contact that he had, and he kind of turned on the Jets. So that was good. But offensively, man, I think I'm going to continue to steal your words, Andre. It's putrid. Just awful. But I'll let you bring up those stats as we get into it. And by the way, my hands are now starting to get pretty cold.
Well, you don't look it as of yet, so hopefully nothing happens in regards to that. No red noses of any kind as of yet out there. But yeah, let's go ahead and pull up the receiving totals for Carolina as we pull it up on the screen here.
You mind going to rushing?
Yeah, let's go ahead and
I
do
know I
that.
didn't label
Well,
them for you, so everybody watching this, it's my fault. He may go through a few screen clicks, but if you could bring up that rushing one.
Hey, it's all good. That's why we make audibles, unlike Carolina in this game. Let me go ahead and
Man.
readjust the screen to where it fully takes up the screen,
So
right?
I would help you monitor the comments, but I can't see them. So you got all the duties for everybody watching. Normally, I'm controlling things, and I kind of threw Andre behind the producer seat this morning when my voice was bad, and we haven't done this too many times. But I'm going to coach him through
But hey, this is how you learn, ladies and gentlemen. Live action.
it.
But there you go. But
But
yeah,
it's
to everybody out there who's leaving those comments, keep at it. We're going to be flying through these stats, and then we're going to turn it right over to you guys here in just a short while. But yeah, let's get right into the rushing totals for the Panthers. Starting off with Chuba Hubbard, who had 9 carries for 23 yards with a pretty putrid average of 2.6.
awful, awful, awful. Just get to it, Andre. It's awful, man.
What he said,
2.6
awful.
yards average carry. That's not going to get you anything. Raheem Blackshear, 3.5. And here's the one to Andre. I know you're going to love it a lot. Drum roll. This guy
Do
is
I have the
definitely
sound
playing himself
effects?
into not being on. He's playing himself into not. Wow. That's a joke. He's doing the sound effects. I didn't know you wanted a joke there. But yeah, Miles Sanders
Look at
with
that.
a outstanding negative 2.5 yards per carry tonight. That'll get you like a
Ooh.
standing ovation. That'll get you a nice paycheck to go and catch. I don't know how many photos we're going to have tonight of great action on the Panther side. Probably not too many, but it is what it is when it's a bad game. But
I
you
mean, I
can't win
do.
anything with that. 2.7,
You can't. I mean, and I will give him
two.
some credit. I'll give him some credit, Chris, because he did have that fourth down catch on that last drive. So he did something, right? He did
Yeah,
something. But regardless, that's still pretty darn pathetic.
yeah. I got a lot of bad notes about this game. Things that we did that was just awful.
Yeah, and I
But
mean,
I'll let you.
it kind of just speaks for itself. And I'm trying to hold my fire here because I know once we get into the comments, I may unleash
Yeah.
because of some of the late game semantics that the Panthers pulled off here. But let's go ahead and stay on script and talk about the receiving totals for the Panthers. And I will say, rather than Thielen, is there any other player that catches your eye in terms of performing well? You can make a
Well,
case
I'll tell you
for.
this:
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
the most talked about thing, and it was two heavily talked about things in that press box tonight. One was the fact that, and I wish you could play your sound effects here. You got it queued up.
Ooh, ooh.
Well, the one thing that the first thing was how boring the game was, just how bad it was. The second most talked about thing was how to say Mike Strahan's name.
Yeah,
That's what we
because
were all trying to figure out.
it looks like Strahan, right?
That's what you think about. It doesn't look like
Right.
Strahan, but that's what you think about. And then so we have these little cheat sheets, if you will, in the press box with how to pronounce people's names. And he wasn't on that sheet. And it's like, well, no, he's not on the sheet because he was a practice squad player. Just got elevated. I don't know if it was technically today or yesterday. So he wasn't on the sheet for us to know how to pronounce his name. But I do have a little history on Mike for you, and
Okay.
then we'll go through those stats and get into the comments. So he where's my notes? Where's my notes? Where's my notes? He was born in the Bahamas, in case you didn't know.
Did not know
Born in the
that.
Bahamas, and initially drafted. He was on their track and field team, so that's one good thing about him. Why he was able to get down the field one time, nice
Right.
catch. And initially selected in the 7th round by the Colts, signed to the Panthers practice squad in September. And tonight, behind me to my left, got a nice deep ball. And we all think that was, I put out the charts every day after the game. I'll put out the charts again tonight. We think by far Bryce Young's longest in the air pass of his career. I'll let you take it from here so we can get to the comments.
Hey, to a practice squad guy who has a history with Frank Reich. So I mean, that's pretty good there. And it was a nice play. Don't get me wrong, but that's pretty sad if a practice squad guy had more production than guys like Terrace Marshall and Jonathan Mingo, who were second and third round picks in their respective drafts. But regardless of the fact,
Hey,
yeah, go ahead. Go
how
ahead.
bad is it when your guy gets one catch and he leads your team in yardage?
That's the other part.
Lots of things going wrong there.
That's the other part of that equation. And I'll pull it up one more time for everybody, for our viewing audience to see the disparity. A practice squad
I'm going to
guy.
have my beanie on here in a second.
Put it on, man. Hey, it's better to be safe than sorry.
My
But
ears starting to freeze.
again, just look at that. Everybody who's watching this video right now, you got a practice squad guy leading your receiving corps in yards. If that's not a microcosm for the 2023 Carolina Panthers offense, I don't know what is. But in any event, that will speak for itself there. And I think with the approval of the man of the people, I think we're ready to get into some comments here.
Let's absolutely get into these comments. And I'm going to put on my beanie.
As Chris does that, this will now be my plea to all of you out there who is watching to go ahead, check out that link in the description. We have that link there for you. Oh, look at Chris. He is styling and profiling with that beanie on. Hey, come hop
Do I look
on.
about 5 years old?
Hey, you look warm,
Hey.
you look cozy, and you look ready to go. Is that a Supreme beanie? I see a little red tag on your beanie there.
Is it really? Is it
I
a
don't
Supreme
know,
beanie?
man.
I can't. Where's the tag at?
It's in the front.
Is it right? Is that it? I don't know.
You got it.
Is it a stylish beanie? Is it the Supreme beanie?
You got to tell me,
Patrick
man.
says no.
You got to tell me, because, man, if that is, you got some clout and some street cred over there.
Let me take it off. Let me see. I can't hear you right now. My earpiece fell out.
Oh, man, look at that.
Nope, it's Levi.
Okay, just Levi. But hey, Levi's still a reputable brand, right, to everybody out there. But again, like I said, if you want to make your voice heard, go ahead, hop on. We want to hear from you. That link is in the description for all of you to come on and join us here, your friends in the media, right? So let's go ahead and hit up some of these comments. We have a bunch filing in. Let's get those likes up. We're at 11 right now. Repping up everybody here, midnight on the East Coast, 11 o'clock in Chicago. Charlie saying Bryce Young just sucks. My short and simple reaction to that is, you may think he sucks, but do you see everybody else around him? I think that will tell you the full picture in regards to his play and the rest of the team's play. As we move forward here, Nah says Bryce Young sucks.
I'm back bundled up here.
We're back to back here on two comments of saying Bryce Young sucks. He wouldn't have sucked if he was drafted by somewhere or someone else. We made him suck. So,
well, I will say this: he's not playing good. He's not playing good, but he doesn't have much of an opportunity to play much better. But I mean, he's certainly still making mistakes. He had a few passes tonight that looked a little like, "What are we doing here?" I know one thing that he has to stop doing is that even though I like him running some more, I feel like he has to, but he's not sliding at all. I mean, he's just like he's just running the ball like he's a running back. So that's terrible. I know he did that at least twice tonight where he's just running and just doesn't slide. So he needs to cut that out. But I mean, in the midst of Bryce Young not doing well, you still see things that says he he has some potential to be a good quarterback. He's just learning some things, and it's a little brutal to watch when there's so many other pieces around him that are not doing well, that should be doing well, that are not rookies.
Well. We have ourselves our first caller of the evening. My guy Taylor,
Okay.
Speak your mind, man. What do you have to say to Chris and I here after midnight?
Man, initially I wanted to kind of rant and rave, not gonna lie. But then I can't help. Sometimes when I do that and you watch the pressures, you can't help but really feel bad for the dudes. Like, I'm one of those guys who really be like, man, I want Frank Reich fired right after we lose a game. But then I see Frank Reich in the pressers. I'm like, man, I feel so bad for the dude. Honestly, it's one of those things like, well, I don't. It's almost like we kind of got to ride the season out and then just see what next year's bring. I don't know. There's just, to me, it's one of those things like I don't think anything on this team is just fixable. So I was wondering.
So why do you feel
I
bad for
guess I don't.
Frank?
It's hard for me to come up with a question.
Yeah.
Just because
So what? Yeah.
Why do
Go
you feel
ahead.
honestly,
bad
it's
for
more. I
Frank?
guess it's more of like he I think mainly it does not really like deep. I guess he's just got he's got a lot of loud mannerisms, almost like a grandfather, like my granddad of mine. And so when I see him on the pressers and I see him kind of looking down, I can't help but like, man, like, I want to hate on this dude, but you look like just such you seem. I don't know him personally, obviously, but he just seems like a good dude that you kind of want to root for. But then when he's coaching your team and things are not going right, you're like, man, I want him to succeed, but he's not. So I kind of want him gone. But at the same time, like I want maybe if he can just turn it around somehow. But yeah, it's not. And
I,
Bryce Young, I'm getting to the point where I'm terrified that we're like giving this man. I don't know if you know who David Carr was. We're giving this man a
Yeah.
David Carr treatment, where this man had the potential, but like he is just losing confidence. And then like I was hoping we would be in a CJ like the Texans are with CJ Stroud. We're like, oh, going into his next season, or going into next season for him. I'm pretty sure Texas fans are like, oh yeah, we expect him to be better. With Bryce Young, we're just going to pray that this man's, they build around him and improve with him. Because man, I pray for Bryce Young. I pray for the team because it's rough.
Yeah. It is definitely
hey, was you
rough.
feeling sorry for Frank? I was wondering if you had a.
Yeah. Go
You go
ahead,
ahead,
Chris.
Andre.
So,
Would you feeling bad for Frank? Do you feel like he's going to make it through this
I'm
season?
sorry.
Do you feel like Frank is going to make it through the
I
season?
don't. I think if he was like, I guess it depends on David Tepper. For me personally, I think he should. I think he should finish the season. Just because even if he doesn't win a single game, I mean, I guess it depends. If you're on like the last two games when he won nothing, he might as well cut the cord. But I'm not sure. But I think you finish the season with Frank Reich and just evaluate how they did. You know, I would assume he probably will get fired if he doesn't win another game. It depends, I guess, how it plays out. I think I do believe that he should finish the season. I would be surprised if you cut your first year head coach. If he was like on Urban Meyer territory where he was just a bad person, like not treating his players right and doing weird stuff outside, I think that's when you kind of get rid of somebody midway through a season. But I think Frank Reich, I don't think he's like a. I don't think his players hate him or anything like that. I think it's just not going, I think, how he hoped. I think you let him finish his first season. I think I think he's a good man. I think you should let him ride it out. Maybe still maybe he can squeak out 2 or 3, kind of pull like a Dan Campbell or something like that, where like he finds something. We can only hope that kind of stuff never happens with the Panthers anyway. But I think you let him ride out that first season and see and evaluate from there. I would assume if he doesn't win another game, I can't see him coming back, especially how he's performing.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key
Hey, I
right now.
appreciate you calling in.
Let me just say this before I kick you off, Taylor. Did you
Thank
see
you.
on the broadcast? I don't know if you saw the last 3 minutes when they showed Tepper on the broadcast. Did you see his reaction to when they showed
I
him on
saw on
there? And he looked rather irritated.
Yeah, I didn't see that specifically, but I did see people on Twitter talking about it. It kind of reminds me. I remember watching an old TV show called All or Nothing for the Panthers,
Yeah.
and it actually showed like some behind the scene things for David Tepper when Ron Rivera was in there, and you see him getting frustrated. And I think that was the Redskins game that he got fired on.
Mm-hmm.
That David Tepper, when he kind of starts acting like that, he's kind of reached his limit. He done fired a coach already, so he's probably itching to do another one.
Yeah, he certainly is. And Taylor, my guy, thanks for coming on here tonight and just allowing us to hear some of your thoughts
Thank you.
on tonight's game here. And yeah, glad to have you on here. All right.
Hey, it's
So,
getting windy out here, so I know Patrick's going to talk about it, but I may have to throw on the hoodie.
oh, hey, if you got to, hey, there
I may
you
have to double
go.
up. You keep talking.
Look at that, man. He's looking awfully cozy out there for everybody out there tonight. But let's keep rolling through with the comments there. Again, to Taylor, thank you for tuning in and stopping by here tonight here. Allie Broderick saying, welcome back.
If somebody's getting impatient, they say, hey, how about reading the YouTube comments?
Hey, I'm trying, everybody. I'm trying. And I'm still getting used to all the moving parts. But hey, again, we're going and we're learning. We are learning on the fly. But like Ali said, it looks like the same stuff, different week, same result. That is definitely the case here tonight. JP saying Bryce Young. Oh, this is an interesting one here, Chris. I want to hear your reaction. Bryce Young equals Jamarcus Russell? I don't know.
So here's something to think about. Like, Bryce Young is really not doing too much worse than you would expect a number one pick that has been immediately thrown into starting in the NFL doing. Now, do you wish for more? Do you want more? Yes, but if you just, dose of reality, we like to report on what happened, which was he didn't play a good game. But then I like to give a little perspective on it. Tell me the last quarterback. I know C.J. Stroud's currently doing his thing, but what is the typical result for a first-year quarterback in the NFL? And even a number one pick. It's a bad start. It's always a bad start, probably 90% of the time. So that's just what we're witnessing is what is actually typical. We just didn't hit the lottery jackpot that fans were hoping that we'd get. So, yes, he's doing bad, but he's really where he should be.
Yeah, and they had an interesting graphic that they showed on the broadcast. I think it was Bryce Young, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and I forget who that fourth quarterback was. And they all compared their records and their statistics. Matthew Stafford, that was the fourth quarterback. And they all had relatively close similarities in terms of records and their stats too were in comparison. So,
Interceptions, same thing.
Rather with Matthew Stafford, who had like 12 in his first 8 starts, I mean, everything kind of fell in place in relation to the numbers that each guy put up. So the fact that Bryce Young is playing the way that he is right now, while it sucks in the moment, you kind of have to expect it. And with the lack of talent and personnel in front of him, I mean, the fact that he's putting up these kinds of numbers right now, some could say it's a miracle. So, I mean, when you look at it.
Yeah, the other part that really sucks when you're watching it.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Is that for Bryce, he doesn't have many opportunities where he's throwing the ball deep, and you still would love to see a 300-yard game, a 250-yard game, a 2 touchdowns and a loss. I think just as fans, it's so much more difficult to watch it, even though it's overall is par for a rookie quarterback. But it's like, man, can we at least get a couple touchdowns and lose a game? Can we at least have some exciting deep throws and lose a game? And it's just awful looking.
Yeah, the whole thing is just let's keep moving forward here with some of these comments. Gerald T. Panthers have no business scoring at all in this game. That was sad AF. And I mean, hey, rather than the Amir Smith-Marset touchdown, Carolina only scored 6 points offensively tonight. And you're in week 10 of the regular season. That's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is in the comments. I may be jumping around here, but I got to keep talking so I stay a little bit warm.
Right.
How about making Eddie Pinheiro kick a 59-yard field goal? Poor Eddie. I mean, I don't think his confidence is shaken. He's not a rookie like Bryce is, but you saw him kind of shrug his shoulders after he tried to make that kick. Kind of like, well, yeah, I hadn't made one that far before, coach, but I'll try if you tell me to.
Yeah, and I mean that I could go on for about 10 to 15 minutes about that whole decision, but I'll just keep it short here. You have your number one overall pick. Why are you not putting the ball in his hands when it's the game on the line, fourth down? Is there something that's holding you back saying, "Hey, I don't know if I can trust him in that situation"? Is there something going on mentally that is preventing the coaching staff from trusting Bryce Young to deliver in those situations? I get it if the kick
In
was
their
5 to 10 yards closer, then hey, you could justify that. But from 60 yards, you would prefer to do that over putting the ball in Bryce Young's hands in that situation? Your take on that, Chris?
I was going to say that, yeah, I get where they could have some hesitation. He's not had a great game. We know our wide receivers can't get separation. I know we might not have the blocking because it's not 5 yards, it's not 4 yards, it's 10 yards. But you're 1-7. So let's dial up the riverboat Ron kind of attitude and say, what the heck do we have to lose?
Exactly.
If we need to win a game, we didn't even need to tie it, right? Like you can have more of a defense, and if you want to do the coach talk and going for it, say, hey, we haven't won. I want to be aggressive. I played to win the game. I don't want to play for a tie. You're still playing for a tie.
Yeah, and that's a part of it
That's
right
it. I'll
there.
let you keep getting through the comments.
And this may tie into what we've been saying with a couple of these comments that we're about to pull up here. People are now saying that we should bench Bryce. Tepper should sell. Fire fit. It's just pathetic.
Hey, can I give you a quick pause because I like to give the people behind the scenes of our job because we love what we do.
Yeah, go
So
for it,
to my
Chris.
right is where the Thursday night football was set up, and I saw one of the comments earlier said they saw me in the background. Yes, you could have seen me in the background setting up near the goalpost. But then afterwards, they also had some people coming to kick a field goal. That was kind of, I don't know. I think some of the Thursday night football staff were trying to kick field goals. But what's funny now, I just caught my eyes to my left. It's these women that are having like a selfie shoot. that's always cool. Like women are, and it's acceptable. It's fine, but it's like, hey, sometimes you just want to make fun and like, what if when I start doing it? Well, I'm sorry, I just did the motion there, probably looking in my direction now. So whoops. But it's 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 fun. It's fun out here. It's not too many people on the field. But you got to get those selfies before they go. And I'll make my thank you video for Twitter before we go. But anyway, I'm talking too much. Go, Andre.
I'm going to go ahead and give your voice a little bit of a rest here. And these two comments kind of play off of each other too. JP saying, let Andy play for the rest of the season. I don't know. Again, look, I get it. Bryce Young didn't look particularly well in tonight's performance. But I start to question what people's motivations are to watch this team. And when I look at it, I'm like, okay, so we're 1-8. What is the one reason why I continue to turn on the TV to watch this team play? And that one reason is Bryce Young. He is the reason why and I guess a lot of people who are out there right now, go out of their way to watch a Panther football game. They want to see his progression. They want to see the steps that he is taking towards becoming a better version of himself and being that franchise quarterback that this team has not had in about 6 to 7 years and maybe even longer. So for people to say, oh, let's just go ahead and start Andy, what purpose does that serve? From an immediate perspective, he may give you a better chance to win, but after one or two games, then it becomes, oh, it's Andy Dalton. Yeah, we're so excited to see him play. and to lead this team to probably another loss. I mean, there's no surprise there. I want to hear your thoughts on the whole idea of potentially sitting Bryce and if that should even be an option moving forward.
I was going to try to get these two ladies that are near me to comment. Carolina Panther media, so I know them, but they're kind of walking in the other direction. But here's one thing to interrupt you, so thank you. Bryce start Andy Dalton. I wonder if you are Bryce Young fans. I mean, like, do you want to see Bryce Young succeed, or do you feel like he's a failure? Because to me, those comments could be coming from people that feel like Bryce Young, and there's an absolutely heck no, don't sit him, because he's not like a third round quarterback that you're looking to kind of develop and see where they go. He's a first round number 1 pick that you gave the starting position to before the week started, that he's a team captain. There's no need, like, so if you want to see him and you feel like he could be the guy, guess what? You need to continue to give the guy reps. Continue to give him some reps and some practice so that next year he's good. He's better. He's improved. Otherwise, you just sit him and it's just kind of like, what if you sit him and Andy does well? What if you sit him and the team goes 500? Then are you going to say, well, why do we keep Bryce? Let's trade Bryce, keep Andy, right? Like, you just got to keep developing the guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this season. It's gonna be, and it has been a developmental year for him. As we move forward here, another comment from Na. Bryce's QBR is legit on Jamarcus Russell level.
And there's guys to my right that work.
That work with who?
For everybody that's watching and making fun of my my beanie and my hoodie, there's guys that are working for the NFL that's right beside me, and they have on their hoodies and beanies too. So it's not just me.
That's because y'all are smart.
Continue on.
Y'all are smart, and hey, styling and profiling, even with the heavy beanie and jacket. Hey, it's a look. That's what you expect out of Chicago and its weather. But nevertheless, let's get back to it with this comment here. Another Jamarcus Russell shout out, if you will, I guess. But he's a bottom 5 QB, if not worse. Frank should be fired. There's no excusing him now. That's quite an interesting one. I don't know. I mean, it's just so tough to gauge this team and to judge Bryce Young because, again, this team lacks explosiveness. This team lacks competency with the front 5, with the offensive line. He's going to look bad, obviously. And to say that he is a bust after, 9 games? It's just irresponsible to the average viewer. In regards to Frank, obviously this doesn't look good for him because, hey, he's the quarterback wizard. He's the offensive guru, yada, yada, yada. But when your offense only scores 6 points, Chris, I mean, that has to directly correlate with the product that you put on the field and the coaching that is behind it.
Yeah, and let's talk about, I don't know how many more comments you got to go through. I'm really trying to get these ladies to come over here, but I'm gonna wave and see if they'll come over here. I can say ladies like I don't know them. Again, they are members of the media from Charlotte, so that's why I was gonna try to get them over here and add to the show real quick. But let me bring back my thought. Darn, it was a good one. Oh, offensive coordinator Thomas Brown.
Yes.
Is this his second game calling plays?
This would be his third.
It was different from the first game.
Because he started in Houston and then
third.
Indy.
Yeah, it's his third game, right?
Third, right here.
Yeah, game 3. So Thomas Brown has some improvements to do with his play calling. One thing I see, and I feel that Thomas Brown has, is a lot of confidence in Bryce. And it's been several weeks now because it happened last week against the Colts. It happened tonight, really right behind me on this part of the field. is when the Carolina Panthers are inside their 20, got 80, 90 yards to go, first down. They go in the shotgun and they pass the ball every single time. And I'm not like saying that that's the utmost wrong thing to do in itself, but here's what has happened every single time. I won't say every single, but I don't know which quarters to reference that in my mind for when they played the Colts last week and tonight with the Bears. But it's a 3 and out. It's not even a completion. It's not even like they get 2 yards or 3. It's a 3 and out when they're in their, inside their 20 and got the whole field to go. So it's like you did that last week against the Colts. It didn't work at all. If you do it this week against the Bears, you're not getting anywhere. You don't have the line anyway. I don't want to rant. I want to make sure you go through some more comments here. I see you over there slouching in your seat, man. Are you still there? Where are you going? You're moving all over the place. I have lost your audio.
Because I was muted. Let me get that situated. But yeah, I'm moving around because I just realized we have a whole bunch of
Somebody
comments
go
that we.
to.
Yeah. So
Well,
anywho,
we only got about 14 minutes, so you gotta fly through. Somebody needs to go to our South Charlotte headquarters, and I'm not gonna mess with you that much. Go ahead, man. Let's get
all right,
through
let's
it.
do it.
14 minutes. Let's get to those comments. We trying.
Rapid fire. Here we go. Would Bryce Young do better in Miami or San Francisco? I would say
Let's go.
San
Rapid
Fran.
fire.
That's my answer to that question there, San Fran. From Charlie, no, Taylor.
Okay.
He can't pass 15 yards down the field. I think that one kind of just speaks for itself there. Carolina boys 3-1. Scott Fitterer is getting fired. No more excuses. Your thoughts on that, Chris? A lot of empty thoughts.
Scott Fitterer is responsible for the personnel that's on this team. And can you hear me okay? It's probably a little delayed, but you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so Scott Fitterer is responsible for all of these guys that's on this team. And even if you just look at the most recent guys that he has, let's see, Miles Sanders stinking it up.
Hayden Hurst.
Where is he?
DJ Chark.
Yeah, so I mean that's just like some of his free agents. So DJ Chark, he was out tonight with the elbow. I was thinking about tonight, but yeah, DJ Chark, he hasn't done much either. So yeah, it's a lot to be desired. Terrace Marshall, I think he's a pretty big guy that's performed below expectations. Third-year guy. So that's a lot of people that aren't performing as well as you'd like to think they would be. Ikwanu's struggling in a second here, so that I don't feel like that's too much of a fit or fire. So I'll cut it off there.
Yeah, definitely a lot of moves that we listed there that you could attribute to Scott Fitterer, and there's more that we could talk about there with that. But we're going to go and move on here. Another comment from Taylor Ceridian. Growing pains for. Oh, hold up. Let's get that on there. There we go. Growing pains for Bryce needs to make a lot of. I think you meant to say improvements there. Let's start by firing some coaches. So I think a lot of people right now are coming to the consensus that somebody needs to lose their job after tonight's performance. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but those seats are definitely going to get warmer, whether it's Scott Fitterer, Frank Reich, any of the coordinators. It definitely does not help their case after tonight's performance. Let's go with B Stallion here. I was truly hoping for a better outing for the team against a team that's not good. Gave up 3 sacks, No offensive touchdown. I just don't get it. We need a lot, and I mean a lot this offseason. So many holes that we have to fill. Your take on that,
How
Chris?
about how about this fun comment off of that? You know, he's been disappointed tonight with the team and their effort. Tell you, there goes that voice. I probably got a few minutes
Uh-oh.
left before it's gone. But what about that you're playing the team that if you lose, you'll continue to put them in a good position to get their number one pick. You know, at least, you know, Tepper may be flying back to Charlotte tonight saying, well, hell, can we at least beat the team that we're giving them? We're giving them everything. We gave them the pick, the trade, and then we lose to them themselves and help them get to them. You know, I can't rant as much as I want because of my voice, but yeah, we gave
But
them the number
hey,
one pick. We helped their case tonight.
But hey, this will also give us the opportunity to plug our day after show because I know there's a lot that we want to say that we won't say tonight, but we'll definitely be able to say tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. We don't have a time yet. Chris and I still have to negotiate that, but we will make an executive decision and we'll have that time for you guys sometime tomorrow afternoon. But nevertheless, we will keep moving along here. Justin Bryant commenting and saying that Bryce has struggled, but this is an organization problem. Uh, yeah, you could definitely make a case for that. There is a lot of evidence to back up that claim there. JP with a comment. Jimmy Clausen stuff all over again. I mean, that's just a new level of down badness right there. If we're bringing up Jimmy Clausen again, he's been in the news recently, um, but we won't touch on that right now. But there's that. Now with another comment, 1999 or 1998, excuse me, was our worst start at 0-9. Of course, the 2000 season was our worst year in franchise history. So there's your answer for you, Chris, that you wanted to have earlier when you didn't want to look and
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
yep, didn't even yeah. What are you even talking about, Chris? Right? What are you even talking about? But nevertheless,
I don't know what
Alec,
you're talking. You're just saying random numbers.
yeah, I'm just saying random stuff like I always do. But nevertheless, Alec Oven saying we better fire Reich. I thought that said rule for a second there. I guess that's my OCD kicking in. I don't know. And Fitterer, if not, sit Young and give Dalton a chance. I don't want to see this offense under Bryce Young when it's his fault or it's not like bleach being poured in my eyes. Well, that's definitely one way to put it. I mean, every time I see this offense come out onto the field and you try to watch it for 60 minutes, Chris, I mean, I hate to say it, it gives me a genuine headache at the end of every game, and it's just rough. I mean, for a lack of a better term, it's just rough. Let's get another comment loaded up here.
It is. It is.
Taylor Sheridan saying, I think Bryce Young doesn't trust his offensive line. He is scrambling. The receiving core sucks. Yes to all the above. I feel like, it's a two-part problem, right? Receivers taking forever to get open. Offensive line not holding up. I mean, you could be back there for 3 seconds, Chris, and his receivers are not even breaking at the top of their route. And he's already getting hit and getting pummeled by whatever defensive lineman, whatever defensive end that is getting in the backfield and sacking Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And it's a two-part problem that, again, has not been solved at all. All right, as we keep moving along here, JP says that he stands in the pocket like he has the best O-line in the league. I don't know about that one because he did a lot of moving around in today's game. Taylor Sheridan, this one's going to be – this is an interesting one right here, Chris. The
Can you hear me, Andre?
Cowboys – yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, the Cowboys
Yeah, I'm going to say I got about one more in me before I got to get out of here.
Okay. So I'll give you this one, Chris, and then after that, I think you'll be free to go on your end. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. The Cowboys are going to destroy this team next week. This is an interesting one right here.
Absolutely not.
Man, I
You're
love
wrong.
the enthusiasm.
It's going to be a great game.
For Dallas.
We're going to lose, but we might lose like 35-21. There you go. Panthers lose 35-21.
Dang, I like the conviction there. We're already giving predictions, and we're not even 10 days away from the game. I mean, I like that already. All right, let's see. Where am I? I need to get back on the screen here. Give me 1 second, everybody.
All right, boss. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to let you continue to host the show as long as you want to host the show. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, super chats are welcome, and click that link in the description to join us. I'm Chris Jenkins, live from Soldier Field in Chicago for Charlotte Vibe. Andre, you got it. I'm out.
All right, peace out, Chris. Good to have you on here tonight as he's holding it down over there in Chicago. Big shout out to him for everything that he was able to do up there tonight. Let's keep moving with the comments, and I'll probably be on here for about another 5 minutes before I call it quits on here. A lot of moving parts for everybody out there who is still tuned in here tonight. Appreciate all the comments and all the love as we try to decipher what took place with Carolina here tonight. So let's go ahead and move forward here with Football Psycho, who says, "Men, we suck, and Bryce needs to stop covering for Frank because he can't coach for crap." Yeah, the 1-8 record indicates that there are a lot of problems with this team, and these issues seemingly cannot be fixed. I mean, we're in week 10, and there have been no noticeable improvements to some of the things that Carolina has had run-ins with this entire season. So very disappointed in that regard. Taylor Sheridan expressing his disappointment there. But what's new? I guess hope keeps me watching that this team can get better, hopefully, before I croak. Yeah, I think we all share that same sentiment there. But yeah, rough times for Carolina right now. Because good grief, this is definitely a period of time that quite a lot of people do not want to remember because of how things have gone up to this point. Alex Oven saying that I hope Chris makes an emergency stream tomorrow because that means something good happened and Frank Reich and Fit got fired. Now, we will have a stream tomorrow. Again, we always do this after every game. There is the day after show, which will be at some point today. We don't know when. It kind of just depends on our schedules, but look for it to be in the afternoon and evening time for that broadcast. But we will definitely have one ready for you at some point today, technically today because it is Friday now. A mental health Friday now after a Carolina loss again. Chop Mop Tactical. Tepper needs to turn this crap down right now and start over for the 5th time. I hate to break it to you, but I just don't see anything that Tepper does. I don't think it. Everything that he does just turns into complete and utter garbage. I think ultimately it starts at the top. I think until there is a noticeable change in philosophies and ownership styles, I just don't know if anything is going to change for the better. JP with another comment. I'm done watching them this year. God willing, I will be here next season. Football Psycho commenting 5 freaking years, man. What the heck, SMH, in relation to Tepper and how things have gone for him since buying the team. Mikey Duke says, guys, do you think Tepper is going to be patient with Reich or what? Um, and I think this will be the last one that I will do before I hop off tonight. Uh, but yeah, I think Dave is in a very difficult spot because his impulse and his impatience in his mind is telling him, hey, I have to make a move and I have to fire somebody, right? But if you make a decision to fire either Coach Reich or Scott Fitter or both, then you're again making the admission that you made a mistake by hiring them. And I would have a harder time to justify firing Frank than I would Scott Fitterer. I think, if anything, if there's somebody who needs to be fired, it's Scott Fitterer because he's been with the team now for 3 seasons and 3 years, hasn't been to the playoffs. There have been moves that have been made that honestly could set the team back a couple years because of over leveraging future assets to get the here and now asset. So it'll be interesting to see how things transpire as we start to move into the latter part of the season. We just